So, since I can't actually be here to give this lecture, I wanted to give my lecture in absentia because last week I gave you some bullet points on Michel de Certeau, and I hope that you guys enjoyed reading this because it's one of my favorite texts. I wanted to maybe talk about both the texts and how it's relevant to the course. Because it is profoundly relevant to the course if you look between the lines, that is to say, to poach it, which is just to take its own indication. So I gave you some bullet points. Let's briefly rehash through some of them, because I think that these are the 4 important, crucial notes to understand the whole thing. So, first of all, I wrote, power does not dictate just from on high, it's negotiated. By everyone. And the way in which we negotiate this power is the space of free play. And it's the space of creativity. It's the place of if we go back to the Greeks, it's the space of paideon. That is to say that the point of consumption's creative. No one really has offered that so far before. I think that it's an important point. The second point sort of infers that it's how the apparatus of production, through marketing and language, structures these ways of using objects that may not necessarily be intentionally the only ways of using an object. For instance, like I just earlier today, I picked up a frying pan and I hit a spider. Like, it became a spider-killing device. Like, that is a tactical mode of consumption. Nefarious, no, but you add a sum of these up, and what you get is the process of the bricoleur. And, pardon my French, it's very bad. The bricoleur may not necessarily be entirely unconscious of his art. It may be happening on a level that is entirely unconscious. And that's cool. To de Certeau, that's very cool. Conditions of urban poverty, simply because they are born of necessity. These are conditions in which bricolage tends to flourish. And what my mind keeps bending back to thinking about when I think about this is The Wire. And those of you who haven't seen The Wire, I will try to speak in the most general, abstract terms. We have this edifice of Amsterdam that is this, like unpoliced state where drug dealing and everything else is given the blind eye so that it can be concentrated. And once it's discovered by the actual populace, then it is very quickly dismantled. Now there's this one very special character within it, Bubbles. And Bubbles is the heroin addict, aka bricoleur par excellence. His shopping cart, I mean, he used to use it simply to glean off scrap metals and recycle them and get, pennies on the pound, sure, but you add that up. And it turns it into a one-stop shop. It's a pawn shop. He profits immensely from it. All these people, they're making money all around him, and he's going with the flow. He is actually tactically using his surroundings in a way that doesn't necessarily make them more obscene or anything. He's flowing with it. It goes to dust, but the scrap metals don't, and that's kind of why Bubbles is so incredibly funny and excellent. He goes around with his shopping cart and he recollects the metals. They go back into production. It is a very seamless process. It's akin to bacteria in a landfill almost. So I have that aside. If you've seen The Wire, hopefully you'll recognize. If not, maybe you can recognize just, I don't know, from a distance. Now, experiencing pleasure through reading is also an important point. He doesn't overemphasize it, but he recognizes that it is absolutely embedded in the process of reading this book. Experiencing pleasurable reading, too, is an active process of bricolage. You poach. You take what is necessary and relevant from a text, and you deploy it for your own purposes. And that's really important, because that's no longer like the sort of passive receptivity that we had so Fairly recently ago, up until, Bart and the Death of the Author. Reading is now an active participation, and it is empty and flat until you put yourself into it and your own experiences, and you furnish it just as we're doing, through the act of collective discussion. My part 2 is follows because I want to bring up the notes.